Welcome YouTube and Twitch. Welcome to the Fish Tank. I'm Bad as Fish 80. Quick video here. We are live on Twitch right now, and this will be going up on YouTube. We're just going to look at the patch notes for the new patch that landed today, which is the brand new expansion, the Outlandish Operations, which is going to be showing all the new Outlander stuff and showing the Outlanders some love. So we're going to go quickly through the patch notes, just to show what is new and what has changed. So moving swiftly along, let's jump in. Okay, so I'll put the link in the description so you can easily find it. Get this resized so you can easily see it. Okay, so we're on version 1.22 right now. Okay, so more Outlanders are finally here. This, as I said, marks the start of the Outlandish Operations expansion. So it's going to be a 3-month expansion, and each month there will be a specific season. So we have some key bug fixes, a lot of exciting content coming along with it, even a new master. Okay, so we saw from the update site, which again I will link in the description, that the 2 new cards, 2/3 if you include one of the additional ones, we've got the Vulture Prime, which is a flying minion. This has the marked mechanic. So there's 2 new mechanics coming in with the expansion. We've got the marked mechanic and we've got the Outlander tech mechanic, and we'll go through those briefly just to explain. I did do another video that had that information in there. Okay, so the Vulture Prime, flying unit, similar to a drone buzzer. So it inflicts marked. What is marked? Well, marked means it's effectively a taunt for ranged units. So it's going to mark a unit. All of your ranged units within that area will be forced to attack the marked unit. And those ranged units will do 25% extra damage. Now, there are some interesting interactions with the marked. So things like the bazooka scrap will attack marked units. The scrap launcher will attack marked units. So there's some interesting stuff to be done with that. Okay, so the way the Vulture Prime inflicts marked is it inflicts mark on the target it's attacking. And that's important because we'll see with the next card that it does it differently. This also has the Outlander tech mechanic, which is similar to how the Accursed Ascension works with your collection of the spectral essences, but in this case you're collecting Outlander tech, and you collect 5 Outlander tech for every mana of Outlander card that you draw into your hand. So remember, that's drawing into the hand, the 4-card hand, not actually using the card. So you get them on draw. And the way it works is you build up a balance of Outlander tech, and if you have enough of a balance, when you use a card that has the Outlander tech, it will auto spend it. So if you've got 50 Outlander tech when you spawn the Vulture Prime, it will automatically spend that 50 and get a shield. So the Outlander tech is a balance that you build up, spend, build up and spend. So that's a new tech mechanic that's brand new to the game here. The second card we have is the TAS, which is a 2-mana building. Now this also employs the marked mechanic, but it marks the least health enemy minion. So if there's a Colossus and a healer within its range, it's got a 16 range, then it will mark the healer, and all of your range units will be forced to attack it. Now we're trying to figure out exactly, we're using some of the new stuff today, we're trying to figure out exactly how the marked works, how it transfers, whether it sticks if a unit dies that's applied it, etc. So that's something we can still try to figure out. And when you place this building down, you get the Hellfire card in your hand. Hellfire card is an ability card, not a spell. It's an ability. It does 170 damage in a straight line that bisects the building. So wherever the building is, the Hellfire will go straight through it. It costs 3 mana, but every time you use the Hellfire card, it increases mana cost by 1. Importantly, Hellfire is an ability card, not a spell card. So it doesn't trigger Setsu's perks, it doesn't trigger Miloene's Golem, etc. It's an ability card. So yeah, that's pretty much it regarding that. Season Pass will end on April Fool's Day. Could be something there. Okay, so that's the new stuff for the new expansion, the new cards. Now we go on to the card balance for the existing cards. Okay, so Aimbot starts with a shield, as per usual, but now it doesn't automatically have marksmanship as it previously did. It does have the Outlander tech mechanic, so if you've got 40 tech, you can give it marksmanship. If you've got an additional 40 tech, do the maths, that's 80 tech, it will also gain haste. So overall that's a bit of a nerf because you can't guarantee it having a shield, but if you're playing it with a lot of Outlander units, Outlander cards in your hand, in your deck, then potentially you can get it with marksmanship and haste. Now Bannerman's an interesting one. Its shield mechanic hasn't been changed at all, so it shields 5 random units within the area, but it has had a big health increase, so you get a lot more of a tanky unit for your details, for your mana. I didn't mess up anything. What do you mean? Okay. So yeah, basically they're saying that you're just going to get a bit more value for your mana. You'll get a more tanky unit. Okay, bats. Their cost has been reduced from 5 to 4. The bats now jump in the direction of the card you played, so you can control where they're going to go and hopefully give them a bit more survivability. And that change, if we just whiz all the way down here, that change is in addition to the change to the Nether Bat. So the Nether Bat has been changed, so you get 2 bats from the Nether Bat spell, but the bat damage has been reduced from 35 to 20, so that damage will apply to the bats that you get from bats. So just to confirm, the Nether Bat 2 mana card gives you 2 bats. They do less damage each, but combined they do more overall damage, and when they spawn they never step forward in a V shape. So bats is getting changed quite a lot recently. If you've played them, you'll know Vortex just shreds them, so they're trying to give them some more survivability. Okay, so let's have a look at the next change. Crystal Construct, Dormant Defenders, and Guardian all get a damage increase. That's just a straight out buff, 80 to 100. But don't worry, don't lose your mind. Dormant Defenders have received a nerf to increase their cost from 6 to 7. Dormant Defenders duo or triple wildcards has been a bit of a nightmare to play, so hopefully that'll address some of that. Ghost Turrets had an attack cooldown increase, so that's a nerf. It attacks every 1 second instead of every 0.8 seconds, so overall its DPS will drop. That's probably fair. Ghost Turret's been hugely overused in the meta. You get a huge damage building plus the spirit you drop from it. Heal Puff has reduced the amount of health you get from 25 to 20 every second. That's a straight nerf. Again, Heal Puff is something we've seen hugely used with Blood Imps. So this is an interesting nerf to reduce that combination. Okay, now we get on to some really interesting stuff. So the Illusionary Cleaver and the Illusionary Dragon, whilst being 2 mana units, they were very rarely seen because it was very hard to get value from them. They would drop from Apep's perk 1, but that was the most time that you would see them. Okay, so now what they've changed is that they actually do damage. So with the Illusionary Cleaver, it does 100 damage per hit. So a regular cleaver does 300 damage and an Illusionary Cleaver does 100 damage. So that's great, but of course they still have very minimal HP, so they can die very quickly. So there's a chance that you can get some good value out of it. If you're using it behind a tank defensively, if it's not getting any damage on it, it can put out some decent DPS. But of course if it does start taking any small damage, it will immediately die and explode. It still does its 50 damage on explosion. They've removed the Voidborn Wound, so you can't get it for 1 mana. And again, the Illusionary Dragon Whelp, same sort of thing, where it does do damage, but it can still die very quickly. It'll be interesting to see these cards, if they get used in the wild. And yes, it's an APEP buff, because you're going to get a card that's potentially a lot more valuable for your free card. Okay, Lord Fenrir, fix true damage issues, so that they work as intended, and the damage is increased from 100 to 130. I'm not 100% sure if that's regular damage or charge damage, because the problem he runs into now is the stun lancers just shut it down. Oh yes, and also the other thing to mention with the illusionary units is their model has been updated to be identical apparently to the regular unit. So Illusionary Cleaver, you could always tell it was fake because it was a much lighter colour, but apparently now it should be exactly the same. So I'm hearing that the damage is increased for both. So hopefully Lord Fenrir got nerfed recently. Hopefully this will bring it back into a usable state. Okay, so Netherbat we went through. Once Bidden, this is a little strange. Not really sure this was needed, but the cast delay has been basically removed. Just makes it easier to spawn a unit and put the Once Bidden on it before it gets to the bridge. Scritillary nerf, damage per rocket down from 50 to 45. Scritillary, again, a huge meta spell. We've seen a lot, so that'll reduce its usability and the things that it can kill. Screaming Scrat, this one is interesting. Explosion when barrel is broken. So basically you guarantee its explosion damage. It's only going to do 100 damage, but it's guaranteed to explode when the barrel is broken. So you can get a lot more guaranteed value out of the Screaming Scrat. And as someone, Jackie's just said in the chat, he's suggesting that Once Bidden, because it's going to be instantaneous, you can't use it anymore with a Dragon's Nest. So previously what was happening with the Dragon's Nest is every time you use a spell, it generates a whelp. What Once Bidden was doing is you could use Once Bidden with nothing else on the field except the Dragon's Nest, and the use of Once Bidden would cause a whelp to spawn, and then it would apply the Once Bidden to that whelp. So that could be a big nerf to the Dragon's Nest. If that's the reason for that, that's interesting. We'll have to see what that's like. Okay, the Stint. Okay, so the Stint has received the Outlander tech buff, and this is to spend 50 tech to claim the furthest bridge on spawn. That's a nice little bonus to the Stint. And the Vortex damage has been reduced from 80 to 50. As they say here, Vortex has been everywhere. 50 is still enough to kill snipers, but you'll only do 50 damage right in the middle of the Vortex. So there's the potential for a lot more stuff to survive, especially with shields and things like that. Zeppelin Bomber, movement speed buffed or nerfed, depending on how you look at that. It's going to get to the master quicker, or to the buildings quicker, but it's going to do less attacks along the way. The attack cooldown, though, has been reduced from 2 to 1.6. So we could see some more Zeppelin Bomber action out there. Master balance. So Diona, her perk 2 is where Ruffles runs out to grab a potion. Remember, the potion can give you XP, mana, or health. What they've done here is potions only drop for enemies dying on your side or on the bridges. So that means that the potions are going to be easier for you to grab, but you're not going to get potions when you're really on the offense. So what they're suggesting here is getting when you're pushing and Diona's dropping and Ruffles is grabbing the potions. It's kind of OP. So now you'll get them when you're defending to help you, but when you're pushing and you're deep in the enemy territory, you won't be getting them. So that you'll get overall less potions drop in, but the potions that drop will be easier for you to grab. Okay, Stormbringer perk 2. Only give minions under your control marksmanship. So that basically just means that if you play it in duos, you're not going to give marksmanship at that extra 2 range to your teammates' units. So that's quite a big nerf for Stormbringer in duos. And hey, new master, you'll have to check him out in-game for details. He's not ready to sit atop the master tower just yet. Well, guess what? We can check that out right now. If we look at the game, this is the live version of the game. If you go to check your master, guess what? Scroll across. Look who we find. We find the new master. He is called Wrecked. Coming soon. Ish. Okay. So, wielding dual 38 PR auto blasters, Wrecked poses a threat to any foe standing in its way. Using the secrets of the shadows, it will enter the battlefield joined by illusions to take matters into its own hands. And we can go through and have a look at the new stuff here. His basic attack shoots within a range of 8, dealing 20 damage every second. For every card with a mana cost of 4 in your deck, so that's compared to APEP. If you've got a card of 5 mana or more in your hand as APEP, APEP's attack increases by 35%. Attack speed. This is every card 4 or more mana in your actual deck. Gives him a 5% attack speed increase. We look at his perks. His perk 1 is called Shadow Dance. It gives you 2 Shadow Dance cards. and the Shadow Dance card allows him to enter the field with a 150 value shield, and he gets a Shadow Clone. Shadow Clones have little health and reduced damage, English. It explodes when killed for 50 damage. Okay, so you can get a little bit of damage value, and maybe, however it's presented, it may confuse your opponent as to which one is which. Perk 2, you get an additional Shadow Dance. And perk 3, you get the One Punch Blast added to your deck. One Punch Blast is 250 damage to a target within a range of 8. So that is what we know about the new master so far. But that'll be interesting to see when he comes. He's coming soonish, so hopefully within the next month or the month after that, before the end of the Outlanders expansion, we'll see him and see what he's like. That's good to see him in game, available to check out, but not available to play yet. And that is in your game. Check it out for yourself, see what you think about it. Okay, so just going back to the patch notes. Bug fixes. Setsu's perk 3 stun. There were some issues with that. That's been fixed. Herald Our Moon. This is spelled Harold here. That's a bit of a misspelling. We'll get that fixed. Herald Our Moon not healing properly after the healing changes. So remember, within the most recent patches, they changed the healing units only receive half healing. Sorry, flying units only receive half healing. Unfortunately, one of the incorrect parts of applying that was Herald Our Moon's sacrifice didn't work correctly. But now that's been fixed. Radix will be happy. Okay, fixed Sunder not doing damage. Thanks, Froglin. Fixed Resonating Blast Crystal's Remnant not going away. Thanks, me. Fixed a visual bug with Resonating Blast Crystal not showing the exploding animation. Thanks, Todd Life. Corrected Zeppelin Bomber's description to show correct stats. Thanks, Mr. Shabtan Tenju. Changed the indicator on spell cards to green when your teammate played Jin Long. Thanks, Zex Bumo. Fixed a bug causing Gong to stay in your hand if a Kinlep's Gong of Pestilence was transformed into a Wolf. Thanks, Broken. Fixed Chain Gang causing FPS drops. That's good. Thanks, Monolith. Fixed Twitch drops! Twitch drops are officially back. Thanks for your help, Edgeponken. Fixed colour differences between Cleaver Whelp and Illusionary Whelp. So yeah, this was apparently always a bug, where the Cleaver, the Illusionary Cleaver and the Illusionary Whelp always looked a little bit different to their regular counterparts. But apparently that was a bug, and that's now been fixed. Fixed Boom Buggy firing too fast on occasion, thanks Laser. Fixed Armored Escort Tooltip not showing with Priestess, thanks Crimson. Fixed a bug causing Haunting Hugger to be targeted while invisible, thanks Hinky. This could be a big one here. Fixed a bug causing Ghost to be interrupted by Unholy Ground. Hopefully that's also replicated with the Haunting Hugger as well. Fixed Guilds getting the same Conquest cards repeatedly. That's a nice fix. I haven't seen this one in game yet, but created a counter for Ascension that is always visible. So Accursed Ascension, currently you can only see the counter on cards that have the Accursed Ascension benefit, but now there's a visible counter at all times. Added purple feedback to show that the card is an ability card that will return to your hand. Added more search tags. 2v2 randoms no longer allow the same master in a team, and there will be no adventures in this expansion. Okay, so that's just a very quick look through the patch, the new stuff, the balance changes, the bug fixes, and the potential new master. This video will be going up on YouTube. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this on the live Twitch stream. It'll be going up on YouTube. And as always, a quick reminder, this Saturday, March the 6th, there is a huge Minion Masters tournament taking place. We'll put the details again in the description. Please check it out. It will be live this Saturday here on Twitch, baddasfish80.com. Thanks so much for your time, and I will see you again soon.